Hello and welcome. We're going to be running through the grade 10 June practical exam, and this is the 2019 paper. It's the usual preamble and the instructions to save your work at regular intervals. That's fairly important obviously when you're working through your paper, especially given our reality of regular power cuts. And you're obviously allowed to make use of the help facility in Microsoft Word throughout, and then you need formulas and functions in Microsoft Excel unless they specify otherwise. Right, the files utilized in this question paper have been numbered accordingly. So question 1 deals with one background.doc, one library, one study, and question 2 is two participants, a text file, two program, a doc file, and then finally question 3 is the Excel file, which is 3 readers. I'm going to jump right into question 1 and just make sure that I've got the right files in my data folder, and there they are: one background, one library, one study, two participants, and two program. Cool, let's have a go at it. So opening up one background, and I think for all intents and purposes I'm just going to move my question paper to my other screen for now. Okay. The first thing they ask me to do in 1.1 is to change the font of the heading to Tahoma 30 points. So this is bright side high. You can select the drop down and try and look for Tahoma. I find the easiest is simply typing it in. It will come up. There's the first one that it hits. There we go, Tahoma. It needs to be 30 points. You'll notice that 30 points isn't available for me to select, so there I will be required to type it. I need to change the font color of the heading to black in the font grouping. There we go, black. Change the character scale or the spacing to 150%. This you're not going to find on the ribbon. You need to go to the more options and advance, and here by scale we're going to change that to 150% and click OK. And remove the italics. There we go. Format the capital letters so that these are small caps. In other words, these are still small letters, but they appear as capital letters. So you select that, go to the font grouping to more options. It's there in that little arrow at the bottom. Brings up this menu. Click on font, and I'm going to select small caps from that list of effects over there, and you can see what it looks like at the end of the day. It replicates quite as much the same in the question paper. Cool. So let's just run through that. I changed the font type, I changed the font size, I changed it back to black, I removed the italics, I changed the scale of the character spacing to 150%, and I formatted the capital letters as small caps. Cool, and that was worth 6 marks. The next thing is to locate the image and text, readers or leaders, that one and that one. And we are going to format it so that it displays like that. Okay, so first things first, you'll notice that the big person is on the left in the example in your question paper. So that's merely flipping the image. Grab that picture over there, go to picture format and rotate it, flip it in the horizontal. I'm then also going to, it's currently set to in front of text, I'm going to make it square, and then I'm also going to make sure that there is a space after that one. Okay, now I see what the problem is. This is merely right aligned, so I need to left align it. And it does look like it needs additional piece of space, but not that much. Let's see if I can just increase it ever so slightly. There we go, readers or leaders. And that looks better. Locate the text Cool Beans under the heading Learning to Read. It's not too difficult to find, it's been highlighted in yellow. They say not to change any of the colors, but to format it like that, double underlined, and the beans, if I look carefully, there is above, which we call superscript. select the cool, go to font. Under underline styles, you can click on the drop down and click on the double underline. Another way of doing it is clicking on the more option. I'm going to double underline here. Then the beans, they want it to be there, but they want it to be superscript. There's subscript over there in my ribbon, and there is superscript. If I look at my question paper, there you go. They say do not increase the font size. The font size shown here is just to make it clearer. Cool. 1.4, locate the highlighted paragraph under the heading read to maintain the lead. Change the spacing before the paragraph to 12 points. Okay, so before spacing on this one, you select that. Go to more paragraph options. Currently the before spacing is set to 10 points. I'm going to make it 12 points. Was that for one explanation? My bad. It's for one explanation. So it's this one here. Select this paragraph here, go to more options, and we are toggling this one to 12 points. There we go. More than that, they also want a double line border around this. So I select it. I'm going to go to design, page borders, although this is not a page border. We click on borders, click on the double line border. It looks like it needs to be a bit bigger based on what I'm looking at in the question paper. So you can go to width and increase it. Yep, there it is, 2¼ width. I've just read the instructions underneath. Remove the highlighting and the shading. Shading, go here and you say no color. So that's the shading gone, but now I need to remove the highlighting. And I say no color under highlighting here in the ribbon. So there's the highlight option there. So you're removing the highlighting. It wasn't just highlighting that needed to be removed, it was also shading that needed to be removed. Good. Locate the image under the heading vicious circles. It's this one over here. And add a glow effect to the image. They don't specify which glow effects. I can really select any. Look at where your highlight goes on in the menu item. There it is. And you're going to go to picture effects, go down to glow, and you can select a glow that makes you feel warm and fluffy inside. Locate the sentence. This is a disaster. Found it. And we need to format that so that it displays as follows. First thing I notice is this one doesn't have any reflection, and it's only for 1 mark, so I assume that is all that they want me to change. Select the sentence. We are going to go to font, text effects, and here under reflection, I'm going to say no reflection. Okay, so just doing that again, I'm just wanting to show you slowly. Select the text, formatting the font. This is not word art that we're formatting, it's font. Click on there. You go down here to text effects. There's a control button at the bottom of the dialog box. You click on text effects over there. It's the second from the top. It says reflection. By presets, you say no reflection. And there you'll see it's been removed. The only other, didn't do the full stop as well. That's why it's still making the box too big. Okay, let me just quickly go and do that. Should make the box the right size now. There we go, 1 mark. So it's simply removing the reflection text effect. It's important to note that you select all the text, including that dastardly little full stop at the end there. Right, 1.7, locate the paragraph in red under the heading reading to learn. This one over here. They say there are 2 spacing errors in this paragraph, and they are awarding me 2 marks for it. Okay, so if I look there carefully, I can see my spelling and grammar correctors already picked up on the one between valid and ways. And the next one I see is over here next to conundrum. You don't put a space before a colon. And there you go. Those are the two spacing errors that were made in that. That's 2 marks. Locate the table under the heading PIRL. There we go. This is the table they're talking about. Edit the table to appear as shown on the next page by following the instructions below. The first one is change the height of the top row to 1.5 centimeters. So this one over here, you put your insertion point anywhere in there. When you see it flashing in there, it's a layout problem. You'll notice at the top there are 2 menu items that highlight as soon as I click in the table. Let me click off, nothing, click in, then you'll see there are 2 that go live, table design or layout. This, with regards to the size, is a layout problem, so I click on layout, and if I look again at my question, they say 1.5 is the height, so there's 1. You can use the spinner or you can type it in, 1.5, and there the height has been changed. Insert the appropriate formula into the bottom right cell over here to determine the averages. Okay, so there's an average for 2016, average for 2017, so I need another one that will work out the average for 2018. Formulas, but isn't that something we do in Excel? Yes it is, but we can also do it in Word. Also in the layout tab under tables, right at the end of the ribbon is the FX or formula bar. Brings this up. It's currently wanting to sum above, and then all that I need to do is change this to say average. Above. Click OK, and there's my answer over there. Good. So that's fine. Change the leftmost column as shown on the next page. Okay, let's have a look at what it looks like. You'll see languages. There's no borders at the top and left of that cell. And this is one cell, and the text direction of languages has been changed. Cool, let's do it. Borders have already been removed on this top cell. That's sorted. This one, however, I need to select all those cells. Click on Layout, Merge Cells, and then I need to take it and change the text direction. I can then select the entire table and auto-fit it to contents. There we go. And when I look at my question paper with my PIRL scores 2016, 2017 and 2018 with averages at the bottom, mine looks exactly the same. That question was worth 5 marks, and there were 5 actions I performed in there. 1 merging, 1 changing the text direction, 1 auto-fitting to contents, that's 3. 4 adding a function in the bottom there, 5 the correct function, average. Cool. 1.9, locate the heading The Sobering Reality just below the table. There it is. They say make the necessary changes so that the text will always appear next on the same line. So 50 and countries. They don't want the split, in other words. So even if it's the end of the line, they want 50 to live with countries. In other words, they belong together. And that is simply a Control Shift and space. It's called a hard space. You can see it when my Show Hide button is on. If I switch it off, it looks like a normal space. But what it does is it says that those two are friends and need to stay together. That was 1 mark. So remember, Control Shift space for a hard space, space bar just for a conventional space. Locate the text in red under the heading Skewed. This is it over here. Format the text so that it appears as follows. You'll notice that is a single table. Do not change the font color. Response, percentage, mean, achievement. Okay, cool. So first things first is I delete that space there. It's now 1 table. And then I'm going to grab that and I click and drag to move it to the top. You see how I did that again? Click, drag it to the top, Control Z. No, that's not going to work because it's actually overwriting that one. So let me go here, Layout, insert above, there we go. Move that one up, and then I can right click in this cell, or I can go to the top and delete this row. More than that, if I look carefully, that top row is shaded. So simply select this. This is now a table design problem, shading, and I go and shade it. Locate the green shape and image under the heading Reading and Emotions. Green shape and this. To ensure that the image is displayed as 1, and we're going to use the green shape so that it does this. We're hiding the star in the middle, and we need to make sure they move as one shape. Grab this, move it over there, and you're like, but it's not over. That's fine. You're going to say you want this to be in front. Go to shape format. You're going to have to go to bring forward. Say bring right to the front. I'm also going to go to shape fill. Give it a white fill. You'll see the border still green, so I'm going to go to shape outline, do exactly the same there, say white. Okay, we're good so far. You select your hand shape, holding control button, select the shape in the middle, go to picture format, and we're going to group the two. They now operate as 1. That's for 4 marks. Locate the numbered list in red under the heading Reading and Emotions. This is 1.13. And we need to format it so that it looks like that. Without the border, they just bring the border so you can see it. So you'll notice that it's been indented with a hanging indent, and it's using these flags as well. Okay. They tell me where to find the flags. They say it's Wingdings character code 79. So here goes. Click on the Home tab, go to Bullets, but I'm not using a conventional bullet, so I click on the little arrow next to it to bring the drop down up. I then say Define New Bullet. This dialog box opens. I specify that I want to use a symbol. I know that I'm using Wingdings, so I type in Wingdings. Bring up this menu. In Wingdings, I want to use the one that's called 79. So here by character code, I can type in 7 and 9, and there you can see the flag. They also specify that this must be in bold. So you go to font, and here you say bold. So it's using that character code, but it's also putting it in bold. They say to position the bullets as shown above. So I need to do the spacing the same way. So in other words, I'm going to grab my hanging indent, put it at 2 centimeters when it's decided it's finished saving. So if I look at the example in the question paper, just bring it across quickly so you can see the first line is set at 2 centimeters for the bullets, and then the text hangs at about, what's just over 0.5 from there. And so let me do that quickly. You select your bulleted list. You can actually just use the ruler, and you can drag that along to there. Put that at 2 centimeters, and that one's just past 0.5, so like almost 0.75, maybe halfway between the two. To make it look like that. No, they actually say it's at 0.8. Okay, so that if they got a specific measurement, as they do here, you go to more paragraphing options. There you can see what it's hanging by, but they say not 0.75. They want to hang it by 0.8. So you go there by 8 centimeters, click OK, and there you can see it's hanging by exactly the amount that they specified in the question paper. So that first line is where it is in terms of the left margin, how far the bullet is from the left margin, and then that there is how far the text is from the margin. That's worth 7 marks. That's a biggie. 1.14, locate the highlighted text under the heading Reading and Empathy. This text here. and they say open the text file one study. So I bring this up here, one study, and they ask me to copy only the paragraph in the text file that is in sentence case. So actually they're testing to find out whether you know what sentence case is. This is uppercase. Sentence case is when they have capital letters and lowercase letters. So I'm taking this one here. I copy that. Can then minimize all this, and I'm going to go into my document over here and paste. That's the only bit that they want from that text file. They tell me I can close that text file then once I've done that. Don't need it anymore. They then ask me to locate the picture under the heading The Workplace, this one over here, and they want it to reflect as follows. So in other words, we need to get rid of the lady in the right side of the picture. Select the picture, go to picture format, and I'm going to click on crop. It's all the way to the right of your ribbon over here. Grab that handle when it makes that funny black T, and you click and drag it all the way to over there. When you're happy with it, you can click off the image and it crops it according to what has been selected. That's one mark. 1.16, locate the heading heavier reading. That's this one over here. And they say insert the picture one library in the first paragraph under the heading and position the picture in relation to the paragraph as follows. In other words, to the right of the paragraph. So put my insertion point somewhere over here. It doesn't really matter. You go to insert picture from this device. Brings up the dialog box. You're then going to navigate to where it's saved. I think it's this. Nope. It's this one. And I want to use this one library picture. Click insert. Now I need to format its wrapping so it behaves the way it should over there. I'm going to go here and I'm going to set it to square, and then I'm going to move it to the right side of the paragraph. I'm not sure if we need to resize it, but it does seem to behave in much the same way. Might need to resize it just a smidge, so it appears to the right of that paragraph. Locate the text highlighted in yellow under the heading Inventions in HE. There it is. They want me to replace this hyphen with an N dash. I've demonstrated this before, but I'm going to show you quickly. This is what a conventional dash looks like. If I go to insert symbols and I go more symbols and I click on special characters, there's an N dash, slightly longer, and this is a M dash, the longest. So they want me to take this hyphen and replace it with an N dash. So you select N dash, click insert and close. And the quotation mark, that one over there, with a smart quote. Smart quote's also under symbol. Go to more options, and you should find it here under normal text near the top. It's that straight up and down quotation mark, except I want the double one. Click insert, close. You'll notice that it doesn't, if I look at it closely, it doesn't sort of italicize to the right. It just goes straight up and down, and that's what you're looking for the smart quotes. Okay, locate the shaded text under the heading Inventions in HE. Inventions in HE, shaded text, book shouldn't be daunting. Oh, it's this, yeah, okay, fine, it's this one over here. They say they want it to appear like this. Do not change the shading. Okay, so this looks like it's got a spacing issue. Click on home. Paragraph, I'm going to say single line spacing. I'm going to get rid of the before and after spacing. That's looking better already. And I'm also going to left align the text, and I'm going to change this right alignment over here on my ruler it makes enough space. Let me quickly just grab all of that and then move this. Yeah. There we go. So now it's on 2 lines. They want wonderful to pop down to. Have they put in a into? Yeah, there. They did. Okay, and so that's all on the same line, and it seems to be doing exactly the same as what they have here. Book shouldn't be daunting up to and. Wonderful to the next line to advantage. Book shouldn't be daunting all the way to and. Wonderful, next line to advantage. 2 marks. Locate the line and image at the end of the document so that it displays as follows. You'll notice that the tab stop runs all the way to the end. They just asked me to adjust it. Now, if you've got your ribbon or your ruler active, and if you don't, you go to view, you just make sure that that checkbox at the top there has been selected, so your ruler's on. And then really all I need to do now is select that existing tab stop and move it so that it coincides with the image. 1 mark. Use words find and replace to format all instances of the whole word child in italics. 1.20. Home. Find and replace is over here in your ribbon. You click on replace. Find what? I'm going to find the word child. But more than that, I'm going to find the whole word only. And I'm replacing it with child again. Except I want them to replace the word with child in italics. So I'm going to take that word, go to format, font, and I'm going to specify here I want it in italics. So it's actually not changing anything. It's just looking for the whole word child. In other words, it's not going to use children. It's just looking for the word child. That's what that whole word does. It's replacing it with the same word, except it's formatting it specifically in italics. Okay, I'm going to click on replace all. It's made 4 replacements. And there we go. Then we're inserting page numbering at the top of all pages in the format X of Y. Quickest way to get into your header and footer, double click. I'm going to insert page number, top of pages in the format X of Y. And they don't specify if it has to be centered. Oh, they do say the page numbers must appear automatically on all pages of the document, even if the pages are added or removed. Okay, so this is automatic page numbering. Okay, and double click to get back into the document, save, and you're done. Right, we're having a look at question 2 of the 2019 paper. 2.1 asks me, or they ask me to open the document 2 program. So I go to my data directory, open up 2 program. This is what the file looks like. First instruction that I get in 2.1 is to change the paper size to A4. That's a layout problem, so if I go to the top of my document, I click on layout, and I go to size, I need to go from what it currently is at letter and change it to A4. The letter one is 21.59 centimeters by 27.94, whereas the A4 is 21 by 29.7. So there's a slight difference, and you'll notice it actually jump when I click on it. If you look carefully now, in 3, 2, 1, you can see it jumps ever so slightly. So that's 1 mark. 2.2 asks me to set the size of the top margin to the same size as the other 3 margins. Well, the only way I'm going to know the other 3 margins is if I check them. If I go into the document and I click on margins and I click on custom margins, this is what pops up. And if I look very carefully there, I can see that most of the margins are at 2.5 centimeters, whereas the top margin is at 3 centimeters. So I can actually select that, push 2.5, and all that I need to then do is click OK, and I've adjusted my margins accordingly. They ask me to change the color of the horizontal line in 2.3 for 1 mark to red under the heading reading program. Here's the line, double click on it, it will open up the horizontal line that's been inserted there, and I will then click on the drop down and select the color red and click OK. 2.4 asks me to locate the first paragraph heading under the heading reading program. They want me to add a drop cap that looks like this. This is in text, not in the margin. I've noted that. It's also over 2 lines, not 3. And they say here that the distance from the drop cap to the text must be 0.1 centimeters. It's got a border around it, so let's go for that quickly. There's the first letter, so I select it. I'm inserting a drop cap, so I go to the Insert menu. Drop cap is hiding up here in the text grouping at the top. And so I'm going to select drop cap, but rather than using a normal drop cap, which will automatically drop it over 3 lines, I'm going to go to drop cap options. It opens up this dialog box. I'm going to say I want to drop the caps, except when I say over how many lines, I'm going to specify over 2 lines. The distance from the text, according to my instruction in my question paper, is 0.1 centimeters, so I'm going to say 0.1 and click OK. The last thing that I need to do is put a border around it, so I select it, go to Design, Page Borders, I'm going to select a simple border and put a box around it. And there you can see the drop cap in the margin, same as they've asked for in 2.4. Right, they ask me to locate the smart art diagram on the first page and change the diagram so that it's displayed like this one here. Here's the current smart art. I select it. 2 places I can go for this. If you look at the top where my cursor is, it's either smart art design or format. I'm going to click in smart art design. Here are the current layouts or availabilities of templates, and so I click on more. If I click on this one over here, the multi-directional cycle, it's similar to the one that's in the question paper. The only thing that I need to do, I've got inexpensive and sustainable, I need to add simple. So I select the smart art again. I like to utilize this tab function on the side of the smart art. Click that. There's sustainable. I show my insertion pointers over there. Hit enter and I move back up again and type in simple. And wasn't that simple. So it's exactly the same as the question paper has asked for. 2.6 asks me to locate the table on the first page and make the following changes. They want the learners grouped together, and they want the learner with the highest reading index in each grade to appear first. And they give an example of this over here. So you see all the grade 10s are grouped, 11s, 12s, and then the one with the highest reading index in the grade 10s is first. Right, so here's the table. I could be that person that clicks on highlights in order to select everything in the table. The easiest to do is just click in the top left on that little box there. It automatically selects everything in it. Right, either table design or layout. I'm going to click on layout at the top. Click on sort on the ribbon. This dialog box pops up. I'm sorting it according to grade, and then I'm sorting it according to reading index, but specifically for the reading index in descending order. In other words, the biggest number first to the smallest number last. There you can see it goes from straight on H all the way down to null in grade 10 at 10, and then the next group null at 19.8 all the way down to 13.9. And if I look at my question paper, straight on H to null M, null J, down to Kivit N at 13.9. More than that, they asked me to copy the entire contents of the table except the heading row to the text file to participants. So, in order to do that, I need to select all of this data, go to the Home tab and click Copy, or I can use the keyboard shortcut Ctrl-C. Open up the text document to participants, and you can go Ctrl-V to paste, File, save the document and close. Rightio. Question 2.7. They asked me to locate the numbered list under the heading Our Approach and format the list so that it appears as follows. Numbers 1 through to 7 with just a dot after, no bracket. Currently it's going A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, cool. Select this, go to your Home tab, move across in your ribbon here to Numbering, I'm going to utilize this numbering format with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, except it should go to 7, and the reason it's doing that is because of this indented one, read the right books, and it's because it's been indented one level. To indent a level, to push it up, you push tab. To send it back, you push the combination, shift and tab, and you can see now it goes from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way down to 7. The next question they ask me is for 2.8. They say locate the three shapes way, to, and go under the heading Our Approach, and ensure that all three shapes can be manipulated as a single object. Currently, if I grab this one, it moves separately, and I don't want it to do that. So in order to do that, I need to select the first one by clicking on it. I hold in the Control key, click on the next one, like that, to select both, still holding in the Control key, and I select the third one. I've now selected all three shapes. My highlight is here at the top by shape format, and I go down the ribbon to group and group the three. You'll notice that now it can be manipulated as a single object. Right, that was 2.8. 2.9, locate the text in red under the heading meeting dates using tab stop settings and grade 10s. This is exactly why I always activate my ruler. For those of you that don't have your ruler activated, it's a simple case of clicking on view, going to ruler there and selecting them. For us, it has been activated, so all I need to do is select the text that needs to be manipulated, go to the paragraph grouping, click on the little more option on the paragraph settings, opens this dialog box, bottom left corner is a control or command button that says tabs, and here you can see what we've got, 6.25 centimeters. Now when I look on my question paper, there is in fact a tab like that, and they've even specified in the question paper that one's been done for us already. The only problem with this is that there shouldn't be any of these leader lines, these little dots there. So all that I need to do is take that 6.25 and say none, set, and I need to add an additional one at 13 centimeters, and this one at 13 centimeters is a right tab with no leader line, set, click OK, and now you can see it's exactly the same here. Center tab, which is an upside down T, no leader lines, right tab, I know it looks confusing because it's going to the left, but it's aligning the text on the right and pushing it to the left, and it's also got no leader line here. That's exactly the same as my example here. They then ask me to locate the text love to read. There it is, I select it, and they want us to manipulate or transform it with any warp effect of our choice. So like love to read or love to read, and that's for 1 mark. So simply select it, you go to shape format, text effects, transform, and there's a plethora of options here to choose from. I'm going to select this curve up. Right, in 2.12 they ask me to, or 2.11 sorry, they say display, locate this image, read with the Dr. Seuss and all the books around the side, and they want us to display the image in its original colors and change the shape to a heart. Okay. So here's the image. To put it in its original colors, you select it. My highlight is gone on here by picture format, and I'm going to reset the picture. There's the original colors. Now I need to make it look like a heart, so I select it, go to crop to a particular shape, and I select the heart. Right, 2.12, they ask me to ensure that the page border appears only on the first page. Right now it extends further than the first page. Here's page 1, page border, page 2, page 3, and so on. So I only want it on the first page. To manipulate the page border, I go to design, move in my ribbon right the way to the end to page border, and here where what it's applying to in the dialog box, I specify there that I only want it to apply to the first page. Click OK. You can see page 1 has a page border, whereas 2 and 3 do not. They ask me to insert the current date in 2.13 at the bottom of the page in the following format, 22 May, for example, 19 blah blah, and they say that they want this to automatically update. So in other words, if this is opened up tomorrow, the date will still be correct. And they also want this to appear automatically on all of the pages that are added. In other words, it needs to be in the footer for 3 marks. Okay, so to get into the footer, I double click at the bottom, put my insertion point there. I'm going to put in a date and time. Over here you'll see in my header and footer options, date and time in the ribbon. I want it in the format 25 May 2022, and I select this tick box that says update automatically. And that will appear on every successive page. It's going to update automatically because it's a field. You can see it grays out when I hover over it. And any additional pages that are added will automatically have it as well. So that's going to be your 3 marks. In the footer, correct format, automatically updates. Change the existing watermark as follows. Set the size of the watermark to auto and display the watermark on the page as follows. Okay, so there's currently a watermark here, but it's the wrong one. The watermark we find under Design tab, or the Design menu at the top. Move across to the side of your ribbon. Here's watermark. I click on Custom Watermark. I want it to say not draft, but I want it to say cat. C-A-T. I also want it to be diagonal, and I want the sizing to be automatic. So I set that to auto, click OK. Size, auto, I say cut, and it's also going up at an angle. 3 marks. My last instruction is to remove the blank or empty page at the end of the document. If you navigate to the bottom, you can see this one is empty and they don't want it there. So all that I need to do is put my insertion point here by the page break on the page before, delete and delete, and you'll see that the last page has now been removed. And that brings us to the end of question 2. We're going to have a look at question 3, the final question of the June 2019 paper. And it's based in Microsoft Excel. For this we're using the document 3 readers. So I'm going to have a look at that one here. The first thing that they ask me to do is they'd like me to merge and center cell A3 and A4. What I need to do is click and drag to select those two. I then go up to the ribbon here. Under the alignment grouping on the ribbon is merge and center, and I simply click that for the 1 mark. 3.1.2 asks me to change the column width of A to half of its current width. Now, if you drag your cursor between A and B, you can, by clicking on it, see that the width is currently 20 and try and drag it to 10, which is half of 20 obviously. But the easiest way is to select the column, much like I did at the top by clicking at the top of the column, going to Format, Column Width, and then typing 10 in as a value over there. And it will resize accordingly. We're then going to use the autofill feature in column G. Now, if you select both 1 and 2, go to the bottom corner until it makes that black cross and click and drag down, it will autofill the number sequence, or it will fill the series. If by mistake it copies the cells, you just need to toggle the fill series on to get it to number from 1 to 25. So that was 3.1.3 that asked you to number it from 1 to 25 with the hashtags in front. They then asked me to format cells H3 and I3 so that they appear as follows. Name and initial. You can see that the text has been wrapped there, and then grade. The text direction has been changed so it points up. So if I go to name and initial, there's a cell. Simply go to the top here and click on Wrap Text. Grade, you select that. That's got to do with text direction. Format cell alignment, you grab this handle here and you move it up to 45. And there you can see the text is then running up at an angle. And those are your 2 marks. They asked me to format the values in column L, the score, so that they appear as follows. You can see it's got 1 decimal place in each of these instances. So I'm going to go to this column, L, select the data in this column, and then I'm going to go to the top here, to the decimal places. Currently it has 3 decimal places. I only wanted to have 1, so I'm going to decrease by 1 and by another 1. And there you can see my values display the same as the question paper asks for. 3.1.6, they ask me to hide column M, the item column. Simple fix, you select that column, clicking at the top, right click on it. Second from the bottom is a hide function. There you can see it's now hidden. 3.2 asks me to change the print settings to ensure that if this worksheet is printed, it will be printed in the landscape orientation and with grid lines. That's a page layout problem. We don't often think about print settings because we don't print spreadsheets that often, but there's orientation. You can set it to landscape. And currently the grid lines are not going to print, so all that I do is select that checkbox to say I do want to print it. If I go into my print settings, you can see those grid lines then appear. If I had to switch that off and toggle it back off again, and go into print settings, you'll see the grid lines are not going to print. So I want to leave that on. That's for 2 marks. 3.3, the number of items that were loaned out are stored in cell B5 to E7. Those cells over there. Insert a function into E10 that will determine the total number of items that were loaned out. So I want to add all of those numbers together. That's a sum, so it's put in the function as follows. You type the equal sign, SUM for sum, open brackets. You then select the cell range all the way across there, close brackets, and hit the return key. The next question that they have there is they say the number of items that were returned are stored in cell E11 over here. And now I need to determine how many are overdue. If I know that's how many have been loaned out, and they've returned that many, it's a simple subtraction. I say equals that cell minus that cell, hit the enter key, and it's 13. Now I know you could have done that simple arithmetic in your head, but please do be aware of the fact that you don't get a mark for the 13 value, you get a mark for the formula utilized to come to that answer. Right. 3.5.1 asks me to insert a function into cell E14 that will determine the fastest reading speed. Now we want to use a max here, equals max, open brackets, and I'm going to highlight those there, close brackets, and hit enter. The fastest one was 210. Slowest was 120. I want to know what the average is. They've got the correct cell range here, but this isn't working. The function is incorrect. It should actually read average like this. So that's how you type it. Okay, if I hit the return key, you can see it then works out accordingly. 3.6 asks me to make the necessary formatting change so that the cell phone number in B18 displays the 0 in the front. If I put my insertion point in there and hit 0 and enter, every time it drops a 0, and that's because Excel regards anything in front of, or any zeros in front of a number as meaningless. But in the case of a cell phone number, it is actually quite important. If I go back to the home menu and move across in my ribbon to the number grouping here, I need to format the cell as text in order for it to accept a 0 at the front. They then ask me to change the date in cell E18 so it is fully displayed in the format Wednesday 22 May without changing the column width. So they wanted to say WED 22, or in this case 25 May, but they don't want me to change the column width. So I select the cell, go to custom number formatting, more number formats at the bottom, and I'm going to put in my insertion point in front of the type, and I'm going to type in DDD space DD for the date, MMM for May. So it's WED 25 May. Click OK. Those hashtags symbols mean that the column is not wide enough to display the value, but they said I'm not allowed to change my column width, so I'm simply going to make my font size for that smaller. They tell me that the reading score of each learner takes into account the grade that they're in, which is in column I, and the number of mistakes they made over there to determine their score in this cell over here. The formula that I'm going to use is as follows. Their score is their reading speed divided by the grade that they are in multiplied by their errors. So let's have a go at it. I'm going to say equals their reading speed, which is in that cell, divided by, open brackets because I'm first multiplying their grade by their errors. In this case, Mr. Pereira is in grade 12, and I'm multiplying that, the asterisk, by the number of errors he or she made, which is in K10. I then close the bracket and hit the return key. And there you can see it's using the grade multiplied by the errors and dividing that reading speed by that answer. The final thing that I need to do is number 3.8. They say there's a fine for the number of days something is overdue, and that is stored in cell R1, and the fines are in column O. I need to work out the correct fine for Sing K, but I also need to note that the formula must be able to copy down to other ones or other learners and still work out. They tell me that cell R1 has been named already per day. So let's have a look. I'm going to take the cell here where I'm supposed to answer it for Sing. His book is 2 days overdue, but it says he owes 100 Rand. They say this fine is in cents, but at the moment it just has 50, so it obviously needs a decimal place in the front. That's working a bit better. The only reason it's showing as 1 is because of the decimal place. If I grab that cell and I increase the decimal place, there you can see the 50 cents, 0.50, and there you can see it's now working out as 1 Rand. If I want this to be able to copy down, I need to change this to either per day, that's the one strategy, or while I'm on a R1, I need to hit the F4 key to absolute cell reference it. That means it's always using the 50 cents up here when I copy this down to the other cells at the bottom. And that brings us to the end of question 3.